Kalonymus, may I interrupt your prayers for a second?
I am listening.
Kalonymus, I found this talit at Hayat's home. I think it a little strange that a man as poor as him should have a shawl of such value in his possession. What do you think?
It is not unusual for poor men to be very pious and prefer to spend the little means they have on religious objects rather than satisfy more mundane needs. But you are right, there is something unusual about this talit. A tiny embroidery of silver thread through these two dark bands. Do you see it?
I showed this shawl to Isaac, and he did not notice this.
A ray of reflected light on the metal thread made me look closer. Otherwise, I would not have seen it either.
What does the inscription say?
It is a name, and probably a date from the Hebrew calendar. Burgos 5252. Talits do not usually contain this sort of text.
Burgos is in Spain.
Yes, there was a large Jewish community there once.
What date in the Christian calendar does 5252 correspond to?
Our calendar starts with the creation of the world 3,761 years before the birth of the Christians' Messiah. So you need to add... take away... Well, take the date preceding that... Oh, yes, but there are also 13-month years, so that makes it... Actually, I don't know.
This will be faster. It is the year 1492, when the Jews were expelled from Spain.
Whoever carried this talit in Burgos in 1492 must have had a difficult life. It was a time of forced conversion, escape or death. They had no other choice.
You met Hayat. How old do you think he is?
He is exactly the same age as me, 67.
It is 1552. He was born in 1485 then, and perhaps in the Jewish community of Burgos, if this talit is to be believed. Old enough to understand and remember. Do you know whether Hayat is Jewish?
Yes, he is, but he's an apostate. He gave up the religion of his forefathers and created his own system, which was a sort of syncretism between the three religions of the book.
Do you usually come here to pray?
Not usually in the way you mean, my child. Let us say that it is above all an act of fervour, hope and remembrance. These remains are the remains of a revolutionary time for my people, the time of our independence, our unity and our strength. We wish that one day the children of Zion will again be reunited in the Promised Land and will be able to rebuild the Temple of Solomon so they can complete their destiny as the leader of all nations.
Why do you call this place the Wailing Wall?
The Muslims and Christians gave it this name, not the Jews. For us, it is rather the Wall of Hope, because we pray that one day, on this ruined wall, the great temple of our faith shall be rebuilt.
What do you call Zion, Kalonymus?
It is the name of the fortress taken by King David, and that he made his city, Jerusalem. Yerushalayim. It means the city of peace. But in the scriptures, Zion also means all Judea, and even all the people of the house of Israel.
How was David recognized as king by the Hebrews?
Oh, you are right to ask that question. Usually, Christians just know that David was a shepherd who killed a giant with a stone. But for many, the story ends there. And so, listen. At around the time when Homer told the story of the War of Troy, 1,250 years before the birth of Jesus Christ, invaders arrived on the coast of the east, among them brandishing iron swords and driving chariots of war. The Philistines clashed with the Israelites, who, without a leader and almost without arms to defend themselves, suffered heavy losses, until Samuel, a priest of the one God, made Saul king of Israel. And then the battle began to turn. Moab, Edom, and all the other enemy kingdoms of the Hebrews were soon defeated, but because he spared an enemy, and thus disobeyed Yahweh, Saul was abandoned by divine benevolence. Upon his death, David, who had already been crowned with glory for having killed the warrior giant Goliath, succeeded Saul to the throne and asserted the supremacy of the Hebrews over the land of Canaan. David took Jerusalem, and Solomon his son built the first temple where the Ark of the Covenant was kept. But when Solomon died, the land of the Hebrews was divided into two kingdoms, Judea to the south and Israel to the north. And the Hebrew people found division and pain.
You spoke of the first temple. Does that mean there are several?
2. If tradition is to be believed, the first sanctuary was built by Master Hiram of Tyre, an architect who knew great secrets. The temple housed the Ark of the Covenant, a chest in which the tables of the law were kept, but it was destroyed when the city was taken by the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. That was when the Ark disappeared. The second temple was destroyed by the Romans when they took Jerusalem in 70 of the Christian era.
Thank you, Kalonymus. I shall not forget what you have taught me.
Memory is the sister of truth, Adrian, as surely as forgetting and lying are their evil opposites.
Alif, Lam, Mim. Thus says the book. It contains no doubt. It is a guide for those who fear God, those who believe in the mystery, those who fulfill their duties of prayer.
May I interrupt your meditation, holy man?
Do not worry about disturbing me. Talking with a friend is one of the most beautiful forms of meditation I know. Oh, it is a great pleasure to see you again.
I know that this is a sajada, a prayer mat, but I would like to know its symbolic value for Muslims.
Oh, the sajada is like a door, but a door that opens onto a specific time, not a place. This time is the time of intimacy with our Creator.
I found this mat at Hayat's house. Can you tell me anything special about it?
Oh, I do not know. You should consult Master Jamal, the head of the Tariqah of carpet makers. But he has left for Hajj with the caravan before last. He shall not be back for some weeks.
You spoke of a tariqah. Is that some sort of brotherhood?
Yes, there are tariqahs for all trades in Islam. But they are more than simple groups of craftsmen. To be a member of a tariqah is to follow the path of a true master of skill, as most of their patriarchs are also Sufis. That is why the Empire helps to develop these brotherhoods.
I understand that Soliman had a great respect for the Sufis. Is there any special reason for that?
Oh, yes. When Selim, the father of Soliman, fought the Mameluke dynasty of Cairo, he rallied the Sufis to his cause. The Sufis were much respected by the people because for a long time they had opposed the Egyptian sultans and their severe and inefficient form of government that was nonetheless supported by Sunni dignitaries. That is how the Sufis became allies of the new political regime. It is an edifying reversal of the situation, no?
As the Sufis now have a similar role to the Sunni orthodoxy in the time of the Mamelukes, who opposes the empire?
That is a difficult question. Let us say that there is no opposition as such, but sources of popular discontent are sometimes voiced by members of the Futuwah.
I do not know what the Futuwah are.
They are a kind of brotherhood of young people with very strict codes of honor. Chivalrous, almost. They can be found in all the large cities of the empire.
What are the sources of popular discontent you talk about?
Oh, well, since the Europeans found shipping routes to go and find spices and silk from India themselves, our cities no longer have the same importance for trade. They're beginning to lose their wealth. But the state does not understand this and continues to ask for more tax. And so young people in the Futuwas are agitated, as they are very sensitive to questions of social justice.
Do you think Hayat was in contact with members of the Futuwah?
It is more than likely. Hayat saw many people, and these groups are in the middle of the people. They're not difficult to find.
I think I may even have met someone who could be one of them. Thank you for sharing a little of your knowledge with me, holy man. It will be of great use to me.
Our knowledge is like a flame that passes from torch to torch, Adrian. Those who give it do not lose it.
Are you prepared to help me, friend?
What can I do for you? Forget another instrument?
No, forge me an answer instead. Did you know the man who was lodging with your neighbor, the widow Pichon?
Hayat. Of course I knew him. He often came to speak with me after his day's work. I liked him. I learned what he did. It surprised me. Are you sure he is the one who kidnapped the governor's daughter?
It would seem so, yes. But you say he worked?
He was a preacher. That was his job. He walked the streets of Jerusalem preaching of love. It did not harm anyone, but the authorities preferred to lock him up. I wanted to go and visit him in prison, but one of the Chamberlain's men told me he had been hidden away. I found that a little strange, but did not insist.
Did Hayat tell you about his life?
Yes, a little. I know he was born in the Jewish community of Burgos before his fellow Jews were expelled. His family sought refuge in Portugal. Then he was sold like a slave to Muslims and bought by Christians. He certainly had an adventurous life.
And one that brought him into close contact with men of all religions, for better or for worse.
Fire! Fire! The thief has started a fire! 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 Help!
This dwelling certainly attracts covetousness.
It was nothing, just a few flames to put out. I'm used to dealing with fire, nothing to fear.
He were a sprightly one, that man, a force of nature. Oh, he stopped the fire all on his own, so he did.
I found this among the ashes. I do not know if it is of any importance.
Did you come here to burn this manuscript?
None of your business, you damn snoop.
You can have me slung in prison, but I won't stay there long. The governor's days are numbered.
I'm sure the governor will be very interested in what you have just insinuated. Let us continue this conversation in his presence.